Doug Steele here with the enigmatimous, is that even a word? The wonderful, the beautiful, the Southern Californian nerd of Van Halen, Caleb Rapoport, guitar player and visionary of Nerd Halen. And hello. And let me hear your guitar real quick, just so I can hear, you make a bit of nice.
That's almost Joshua Jones. Like I need to bend three octaves. I love Josh, by the way.
I do too. We've got him in a Facebook chat group with just me, my friend Victor, my friend Ben, and Josh. And me and Victor and Ben talk all the time, and Josh chimes in every month.
Yeah, he's.
I guess we're too old for him, or we're just not,
Oh,
cool.
I met him a few years ago, and just a sweet kid. And I love when people say like he needs to slow down, or he needs to tone it down, or take it down a notch, or
he doesn't.
And I'm like, what?
No, you do the opposite.
That's what they said about Van Halen.
Yeah.
When he came out, this kid's doing something that no one's doing. And
you encourage that. You don't pull it.
Yes.
You don't make a Mustang
25-year-old amazingness. Don't tell him how to play. Go fuck yourself. Let him play.
Yeah.
Let him do what he does, and we can all just stand there and watch and go, that's different.
That's
works.
Beautiful. Yes, 100%.
Please find a band. Please make records. Let's go.
We've been pushing him to either go to Nashville, go to Vegas, go to LA, go anywhere but where the fuck he's at. I forget he's in where is he? Yeah. Absolutely leave Tulsa, please. Anyway. So I'm constantly jumping on his back. Okay, look, let's quickly before we get into really full on Van Halen nerddom.
Yes.
Tell me about the show. You got a show coming up in Tennessee. Late August, or am I tripping?
It's it's only 2.5 weeks away. It's August 19th, Friday.
Yeah.
It's a 3-day festival called the Monsters on the Mountain.
That's awesome.
And there's going to be 30 bands, and we're playing last. We're not headlining, but we're kind of on the way. Everyone leaves after Tom Kiefer. The main room, there's another stage, and they can come check us out as we close the evening. So
that's bitching.
But yeah, it's crazy because on Friday night there's going to be guys like Malmsteen, Betancourt, Kotzen, and Rapoport. So
that's rad.
It's so surreal to me. It doesn't make any sense, but
no, it makes total sense.
I'm hoping they go home and go to bed and don't side stage me or something. Because
they will be in the audience. They will be slightly hammered, and they will be dancing to the tracks that you were playing. I guarantee it.
I hope so. I mean, that'll be something. I just hope I don't see them. That's all. I hope I hear they were there later, but I don't want to see them during the action because that might affect my performance. If you know what I mean.
Dude, throw on some sunglasses and just look in the very back of the room, kind of thing, and don't.
Yeah, I should wear nerd glasses just with the tape, but they're sunglasses. So Wayfair, black them out and just.
You haven't done that yet? That's a new look. That's a new look.
It's cool, nerd.
This is a question I've always wanted to talk to people about regarding old Ed. You live in California, in Southern California.
Yes, sir.
I've looked in the tabloids, and they said that you've been out there since the age of 9.
Pretty much. My father was a screenwriter in the business, and we lived in Richfield, Connecticut, and New York City. That's where my parents are from, and I grew up there early on. And my dad was here for a few years right before we made the move. So we moved to Southern California, and I've been here ever since. And
so, I mean, we're both 53. You would have heard Van Halen maybe on the it would have been huge on rock radio. Is that where you first heard Ed?
I don't. It's one of those things how everyone's like, oh, I remember where I was and what I was wearing and what it smelled like. I don't. I believe I heard songs like "Dance the Night Away" and "You Really Got Me" on the radio
Yeah.
when they were in rotation. So that would have been early on, but it didn't really resonate with me. I wasn't into playing rock music or even listening. I mean, I grew up in a Beatles household.
Yeah.
There was Beatles everywhere, and then I started getting into, I loved really, cool commercial songs. And I remember Rhinestone Cowboy was a real like commercial song in the mid '70s, and I thought that was a great song. And
Yeah.
I liked music, but I didn't get the bug until in 1981, the summer of '81, we went back to visit my cousins in Connecticut, and we went to Great Adventure in New Jersey, which is like the Six Flags park. And that night, Rick Springfield was playing, and he had the biggest song in the country.
Jesse's
and
Girl.
and I didn't put it together till we were there, and uh, he did the song or something, and then I'm like, oh my god, I'm seeing the guy that the songs on the radio. I just didn't, and then but the show was amazing, and he was very just great at putting on a concert, and it was the first time I was like, dude, rock and roll is cool
Yeah.
and fun,
Yeah.
and chicks dig it and all this
Yes.
stuff, because it's so funny. Like, I think most of us as guitar players didn't start playing until we were looking for tools for chicks to like us. Like, you're like,
100%.
okay, I can play sports, I can do this, I can play an instrument. I need a tool
Yeah.
to make the opposite sex find me attractive, because
What greater
I'm not enough.
aphrodisiac?
I'm
What
not
greater?
enough
Yeah. What
without
greater?
something helping. So
Yeah.
yeah,
What greater aphrodisiac is there than a
and then
guitar? Really?
and then the Stones. I saw that in '81, it all kind of happened in '81, because then the Stones had that huge tour, like the biggest tour of all time that year, the Tattoo You Stadium tour.
Yeah.
And I saw that the end of the tour pay-per-view event, and we videotaped it off the pay-per-view, and I remember watching it 1,000 times and thinking, I want to be Jagger. I thought that was the most incredible performer I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And and then um, and then I started wanting to play drums, and my parents were like, "No, you're not playing drums in this house. We'll get you a guitar." So they got me
Nice.
an acoustic guitar, and then I saw the Who at the Coliseum and here in LA, 95,000 people. I ditched school with some friends, and the teacher's assistant drove us down to get in the GA line. And
That's amazing.
I called my parents from a payphone. I'm like, don't kill me. We're gonna go see the Who concert. I need you to pick me up down in the hood here at the
Right.
Coliseum at like 11 o'clock tonight. Can you do that? And they're like, we're gonna kill you, but we'll see you then. Don't
To kill
don't
you
die.
then. Yeah.
Don't die.
We want to kill you
And
first.
I saw the Who, and the Clash were awesome, but the Who, I saw Pete Townsend, and the energy,
Yeah.
and that was a great show and a great sound, and so melodical, and he's so underrated because he can't really play lead. People don't like his lead. I don't give a shit. I could watch him
Yeah.
play rhythms and chords and melodies all day. And that's when I knew okay, I want to do this guitar thing, but I hate my acoustic because it hurts my fingers, and I just kind of stopped the lessons and put it in the closet for a few
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
And then that was October of '82, and then March of '83 rolls around, and like I said, my father's was in the business. We had a lot of friends in the business. One of them was an assistant director on a little show on TV called One Day at a Time.
Oh, nice.
And here's where fate and destiny takes over, because on March 18th, 1983 was the last show of the year taping, the end of the rap party, they call it.
Yeah.
And we got invited, and we went to the show, and we sat in the bleachers on the soundstage, and I was a very ballsy kid, and I would just get up and walk around the set like I owned the place. And I would
Good.
walk down to the back area behind the stage where they shoot, and there's like a little green room area, and I see the kid from the show. His name's Glenn Scarpelli.
Yeah.
and he sees me and he's like, "Oh my God, a kid. There's no kids here, a kid."
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's like talking me up or whatever. And I'm looking at all the director's chairs with all the actors' names. And I see one and written in tape, it says Eddie. And I go, "Is he going to be here?" And because I knew who he was at this time. They had Diver Down was big, Pretty Woman, Little
Yeah. Yeah.
Guitars. These were
Yeah.
big songs on the radio. I was a radio head. I just love rock radio.
Yeah.
And I knew the music. And I knew that he was the best in the game by this time, but I didn't really know why. And so I said, "Is he going to be here?" And he goes, "Who, Eddie? Yeah. You want to meet him?" And I'm okay. And then a few minutes later, Eddie and Alex walk in, and they sit down right there next to me in the green room. And
Holy shit.
for the next 3 hours of the evening, while they're taping the show out front, actors milling about, walking in and out. There's like a monitor so you can see the action on stage. It takes like 3 hours to shoot a 22-minute episode of
Right. Yeah.
in front of a live audience. And I'm just sitting with the Van Halen brothers, and you'd think like you'd just be frozen and in shock, but this is the beauty of Edward Van Halen. When you had the opportunity to meet him, he would shake your hand with a grip. He would look you in the eyes and let you know that he was a dude. And hey, how's it going? I'm Ed. What's your name? Where are you from? You play, what grade are you in? You play sports? You play any instruments? He's firing questions at me and disarming me. And
That's
by
rad.
minutes in, you're like, this isn't Edward Van Halen. This is some dude that's really nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice, but he looks a lot like Edward Van Halen.
Right.
And so that went on for the next several hours. And I left that night thinking like, wow, I'm friends with the Van Halen brothers.
Yeah.
They never once that night looked around like, who the fuck is this kid? Get him out
Right.
of here.
Yeah.
He's asking dumb questions, because I was asking all kinds of questions, but some were dumb, some were good, but
Yeah.
they never did that. And I went home and I went right to those records that I had. I had Van Halen 1 and 2,
Yeah.
and I had Diver Down, which was the one I bought. The other two I traded for, and they were warped and scratchy. But I only liked the hits, so I started listening to the whole thing, and I was like, oh, okay, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why. And within
Yeah.
days, I was like, I have to sound like that. I
Mm.
don't care how long it takes.
Yeah.
I have to be able to do that. And there was no one there to say, you cannot do that,
Right.
because there's very few people that can sound like that, do that. It takes years. It takes tens of thousands of hours.
Yeah.
It takes listening to things that you don't know and see just from the record. There's all kinds of other things going on, and if you kind of dive in more, you can figure it out maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the next 3 weeks, because I wasted their money on an acoustic guitar, nice new Yamaha acoustic guitar, they weren't really happy about me wanting an electric.
Yeah.
But I tore an ad out of the Aria Pro 2 Double Z,
Holy shit.
black to blue burst. It was looked like a mini Explorer, and I tore that out, and I went to the dinner table, and I'd sit down at dinner, and I'd put the ad right next to me, and I'd eat my dinner, and here's the ad for the guitar. And that went on for 3 weeks, and I wish I had film of me doing that looking stupid. But finally,
They relented.
They bought me the guitar, and I was never heard from again, because I was in my room for 8 hours a day.
Yeah. I think that's tons of people's story. That's tons of people's story in California. Absolutely. I was the same exact way.
Yeah. And I had a teacher, and he was supposed to teach me scales and chords and things and stuff. And I was like, no, teach me Running with the Devil.
Right.
Teach me I'm the one, I was like, can you teach me that? And this guy, bless his heart, Bill Bentley, still around, Facebook friend, lives up north. Um, you remember those old recorders, like, the tape machine, the little rectangle with the buttons on the front.
Yes, had
He would
many of
play the
those.
tape. He'd play the tape, and he'd stop it, and then he would find the note, and then find the riff, find the lick,
Yeah,
play, stop, boom, boom, ear training. And I'm watching him, and I'm watching him ear this stuff out,
yeah,
because I was like, there's no way he's going to figure this out. This guy's from another planet. This player, how can, he's doing something no one does. How can my teacher figure this out? But he reminded me there's only so many notes on a guitar neck. There's only so many places he could be playing this.
right.
And, wait, I have to tune down to E flat because it sounds like he's in E flat. All these things started coming from this teacher, letting me know that it's not hard,
That's
and
awesome.
that it's not hard. It's how he's doing it and making it sound that makes it sound hard.
Yeah,
That's the beauty in that. And that from all your teachings, all your stuff, all your videos, you, you remind the player, the viewer, that it's really not that hard. It's the feel that's the hard part.
yeah.
The
I mean, because
tricks,
you're trying, yeah, because you're trying to emulate another person who plays a certain way. So yeah, it is.
right. So, but that's all I want. I never wanted the note for note. I wanted the feel. I wanted
Yeah,
that feel. I wanted to sound like him doing something else. It was a weird thing to want to do, because usually people want their own style. But I was so bitten by the bug of him that I was chasing him. The chase was on. That after I
yeah.
left the studio that night, I was, he almost like he touched me on my head and said, you will do
Go
this.
forth. Yeah,
Here's your passion. Go and do it. And I was like 13 miles from Guitar Center in Hollywood on Sunset, and I would
yeah.
take the number 2 bus, which ran Sunset all the way downtown, and I would get on that bus and go to Guitar Center on a Saturday. And I'd
That would
get
have been
there,
amazing.
I get there at noon, and I'd come home at 5. So I'd
Yeah,
spend like 4 hours at Guitar Center, mainly watching this guy behind the accessories counter named Mick, who had the hair. He looked just like Eddie Van Halen, and he had all the licks. So I was watching him show me uh, all these ways I was hearing those sounds being
yeah,
made, and he
yeah,
was showing me them. But I just was around it, and the passion was there that I got on this. It was a 48-minute bus ride each way. And
yeah,
I was like, this is what I have to do. This is where I have to go. So yeah, that's how it all came about. And it was such a unrelenting process of just trying to cop that feel.
yeah.
And, before you knew it, that was my identity. And, all the kids in high school would walk by me and go, that was me, like,
Yeah.
and,
I yeah.
yeah, blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
So
I got to tell you my story real quick
yeah.
because we're about the same age. I was living in Fresno, California at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I was right into Kiss. So I bought every Kiss album. I actually audio taped with a like the recorder you said. I audio taped Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park because we didn't have a VCR. So I thought, well, I can get audio. I might as well be able to listen to it and then remember what happened in my head. But I remember as a kid, I remember them talking about, and this was rock radio. I don't know, they where they debuted "Running with the Devil" by Van Halen, this hot band out of L.A. Listening to it and being like, "That's not Kiss," and just like brushing it aside, and then seeing the videos of like, "You really got me, Running with the Devil" on television, and going, it's not Kiss, and just brushing it aside to the
Amazing.
to the point where I was in a friend's house that lived down the street, and she was playing something off of Women and Children First, and I just breezed by like it wasn't like, oh, what's this? I'm late. I'm late to things a lot of the time, but finally when I was 14, which would have been about 83, I heard You're No Good on the radio. We were taking my little brother to the dentist, and I heard
Mm-hmm.
the solo, and I was like, holy shit. That's the baddest thing I've ever heard. That was Van Halen off Van Halen 2, yada, yada, yada. Bought the album. So I actually had Van Halen 2 before I bought the first album.
Right.
So you listen to all those, and you hear the Spanish Fly, and you think that's amazing. And then the year after, I got the first album for Christmas, and then I heard Eruption, and I was like, holy shit, he's doing Spanish Fly, but on an electric guitar. So I did the whole thing kind of ass backwards in a way, and then I
Cool.
I got the albums until I was more or less caught up, which would have been like fair warning. So I was a little bit late to the party, but I
Yeah.
did delve in pretty hard.
Yeah. I
You know,
think just our age, uh, we're late.
yeah,
Early '80s. We kind of got in it just because we were becoming adolescent, and
yeah, and
puberty
I'd
was
even
hitting, and
and I'd even
we just, yeah, there was that visceral thing. And I think, like you said, you loved Kiss, and loving something that much is a double-edged sword, because it tells you, okay, I can't love anything else.
Yeah, which really, like,
And
obviously I'm hindsighting and going, God damn it, I could
right.
have been into this a little bit more. But what are you going to do? You learn from it and you
When you're
move on,
that
I
age,
guess.
you're like, I'm on that team, fuck everything else.
Yeah,
Like, and I
pretty
was a Who
much.
fan. I was such a, and the Who was these English bands, and the Who were like so anti Van, their fans hated Van Halen. So it was like, I, I really need a very special event to happen for me to like that band,
Right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it did, because no one believed me that I met him that night. And it just, I knew no one would even understand how incredible that evening was for me, and how when
That
you meet somebody that becomes your hero, because he wasn't my hero yet, but it's totally not in a hero circumstance. Like, I didn't see a show and then meet him. I didn't
right?
see it.
Exactly.
It was like I met the person, the guy,
Yeah.
without a guitar, and
Oh, dude, that would have been so awesome.
and it
Was
was, yeah.
was Alex as engaging?
Yes, and Alex uh, loved the fact that I was only 13, and that he would tell me the dirtiest jokes I've ever heard in my life. He enjoyed that fact of seeing me go like, "Oh my God, like, did you
That's
just say that?"
amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, he seems
That's
like
what
that kind of guy.
that's the kind of guy he was. He was just irreverent, and but he was, they were so cool.
Yeah.
Uh, they were so cool, and especially Ed. I think he just knew, like, if I'm a dick to this kid, he's going to remember that the rest of his life,
Right.
and hate me for it. But if I'm cool to him, who knows what that's going to do? And by this time, he's 5 years into the game, 4 years into the game of stardom, superstardom.
Yeah.
So he's met a lot of kids like me, and he's probably already set a bunch on their way. And so it's almost like, watch what I do to this fucking kid. Like, like, watch what happens here, like,
Yeah.
just by being nice, just by being cool and sweet and ordinary and down to earth.
And
Those things matter so much
yeah, and
to
it's not. I
a
don't think it's hard
13-year
either.
old.
I don't think it's
It's
hard
not
to.
hard. It feels good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's cool to be cool. Like, there's
Yes.
no reason, you
To be a
know.
dick to anybody ever.
I know people have bad days and they don't want to talk to people. I'm no different. But a kid who's looking at me like, you're him.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, and you're you. What's your name? Like, it's almost like he taught me how to be a good dude more
yeah.
than guitar. Like, I use some of the things he showed me that night in my, when I meet a kid, or a person. Just like, that's how I am. Like, you want to emulate everything about somebody that you respect and adore.
Yeah.
And he had so many of these qualities, so many pages to his book, that
Yeah.
it wasn't just the guitar playing. It was how he was,
Yeah.
and
That's awesome.
yeah. So, and it was, it was hard, because I grew up in a town where Van Halen wasn't. They were a valley band, like you know,
No,
Valves,
this is what I want to know because I'm
yeah,
not from LA.
yeah,
So there was a bit of disdain on that
yeah,
type of thing.
yeah. All the kids in my school liked, they liked the Grateful Dead, and they liked all
Ooh,
like
fuck.
The Cure,
Oh,
and
I like the Cure
the
too, but
Smiths, and a lot of
oh,
these
okay,
new
yeah, right,
wave
right,
band, these
yeah,
new
yeah,
wave, like,
yeah.
uh, kind of stuff, and they didn't they thought Van Halen was a valley band, like, you know,
Fuck.
uh, and it was fine. I mean, I was cool with it. Nothing was going to stop it. So,
Yeah,
but
dude,
yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, okay, we're gonna change gears a
move
little
ahead,
bit.
move ahead.
What is your favorite era of Ed?
Okay.
You go first.
I, yeah. But by the way, I just want to say thank you to you,
Well, you're very welcome.
because when I was forced to look to start learning these songs in great detail, um, which is a whole other story, and it has nothing to do with Nerd Halen. I had to learn a bunch of songs, and the beauty of YouTube was discovered, and I am so uh, challenged with ADHD, just like yourself, and YouTube has cured a lot of that. There's no way I would have been able to read tabs of this shit
Ugh,
and get
ugh,
it.
it's
But
horrible.
your videos came up in my feed of me searching to learn how to play songs, and what I really loved about the presentation was that the first thing you say to people is, "You don't have to do it the fucking exact way, okay? I'm gonna show you sort of what he's doing, and then you
Yeah,
do what you want to do.
yeah,
This is how I think he's doing it, but I'll give you the gist, but take it and run, bro." And I
yeah.
loved that. I loved that way, and all your videos have the same uh, awesome way of just laying it out. And for someone who doesn't want all the like the boring there's so many boring
Right. Yeah,
teachers,
yeah. I know.
and you make it fun, and you're funny, and
Thanks.
I was hooked, and I've learned all my Roth era songs. I go straight to you. No one
Thanks.
else.
That's
I look
fucking
for you,
cool, dude.
of course, and you've been my guy since the beginning of all this, and I'm just you're very special to me in that way, because you, Doug, have had a lot of impact on my project, my band, but because uh, I've learned all this stuff from you.
Well,
And
that's so nice, dude. Thank you so much.
yeah, I had to say that. And that's why,
Well,
like in our chats, I call you Sensei, because yeah, you're my Sensei, and you run the dojo for the classic Van Halen stuff, and I love that. So,
thanks.
what's my favorite era would be obviously uh, what I grew up on. People ask me my favorite Van Halen tone on record, and there are obvious choices. You can't beat the tone in like Dirty Movies or Mean Streets, or that whole Fair Warning record. The
Yeah,
Unchained tone.
yeah,
And you can't beat Van Halen one tone. And some people love Van Halen two tone more than anything, because it's so burnt, and
yeah,
crispy.
yeah.
There's something so different about that one. But for me, and where I really wanted to do this, aside from the meeting, there was a sound that I heard, and it was on Diver Down. It was "Where Have All the Good Times Gone?" His guitar tone on that song, because it's not so processed and not so reverberated and
Right.
big sounding. You can hear his fingers. You can hear the room. It's almost like a demo, that record. A lot of the songs
Yeah,
sound like a demo. It
yeah,
sounds like you're there with them.
yeah.
And like a lot of the other records sound like you're live with them.
Yeah.
But that record, there's a lot of songs that sound like you're at rehearsal with them,
That's cool.
and
I
and
never really
there's
thought of it that way.
and they're so tight by this point. They are so tight in 1982 that they could do no wrong, and that's why they did 5 covers and they all sounded great. And I hate people that pan the record because of cover. Dude, Van Halen could have played "Row Your Boat" and it would have sounded fucking sick.
Yeah.
And I would still let it play when it came on the shuffle. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that tone on "Where Have All the Good Times Gone," the chugging on the rhythm part, and then the I'm gonna fuck it up.
I know what you're talking about. Oh yeah.
That part, that lick,
Yeah.
forget it.
Yes.
It's
That's
over. It's
killer.
over.
That's killer.
So yeah, that's the tone that gets me. And then, hey, I think his tone on Balance is awesome. So it kind of goes. I definitely think it all kind of ended for me with Balance because let's face it, your ears go when you've been playing this music for so long in front of very loud amps. And I think that's something that happened to Edward,
Right.
is that he didn't hear his sound the way we were hearing it.
Yeah.
And he needed a lot more uh, distortion and gain, and the beauty of his sound was it had this warmth and richness
Right.
and cleanness in some points,
Mm.
and it just started getting really gunked up. And then, and I think that had a lot to do with he just couldn't hear himself and feel it the way he needed to. Uh,
Yeah.
and so
But
he had to
he'd be
push it.
playing. Yeah, he'd be playing insanely loud on stage with no earplugs, and you like to
Oh
feel his
yeah.
fucking
He
arm
never
hairs
worried.
move and all that shit. Yeah, now, that has an effect.
Yes. So that's my favorite. My favorite era, obviously Dave era. I consider that band, the 4 members at that time. No one comes close. No one can touch them.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't compare the eras. I don't compare Sammy to Dave. I hate that bullshit. Because I love to ask people that they're like, fuck Sammy. Dude, what do you want the Van Halen brothers to do? Did you want them to quit playing music in 1985? What were they
right.
supposed to fucking do? Quit? You want Eddie Van
Absolutely
Halen
not.
to quit and go do something else?
Yeah, and even my argument, I do think Sammy is a much better singer than Dave. But for me, I think it was just maybe the vibe. I think the vibe and
The vibe.
the early and just the early, like the youngness of it, the youthfulness. My
Yeah.
my favorite probably tone is going to be I like people at their most metal. For I don't know if that's just an immature. I just want to
Hmm.
see people go off their fucking head. So like even with Paul Gilbert, I love him. He went blues. I'm like, oh, fuck. And we're the same. I think he's a little bit older than us. So
Hmm.
to see him be like an uber shredding kind of guy, and then do the Mr. Big thing, which I had seen live and they were cool, and then just like the blues shit, I don't know. And for me, I'm just not into it. I like people to go harder,
Right.
heavier. So
Right.
for me, like Women and Children First and Fair Warning are probably my favorite 2 albums, with Women and Children First probably being my very favorite album,
Yeah.
and especially with those chords and Fools where he just goes da da da
Hmm.
da. Dude, that's ball crushing. And
Yeah.
he's got his little blue jumpsuit on. Like
Superhero.
everything was badass. Superhero, totally. Like that Star guitar, I love.
Hmm.
Like it was the whole package, dude. And
Right. And
yeah,
that's another thing. Like, how does it all come together like that? There's amazing guitar players in the world that are incredible, and they look like me or you. And uh, you know, th- there's that term in baseball, the 5 tool player. Like it's a baseball player that does it all: runs, hits, fields, throws, all these things. Power. They have it all. And Ed is like an 8 tool player.
Yeah.
Not only is he the greatest sounding guitar player with the greatest tone, with the greatest guitars, he looks better than anyone else doing it.
Yeah. He was like a
How does
Bruce.
that
He was
happen?
like a
How does
Bruce
that
Lee.
happen?
Yeah, dude. It
How
like
Bruce Lee?
ev-
Exactly. Exactly.
it's like every great thing. It's like God, like just threw one lightning bolt down, and that's the kid it lands on, and he gets everything.
He gets everything.
Yeah.
Everything except height. But who cares? No one can tell
No.
because everyone else is short in the band too. So
Oh, so wait,
he
how tall was he roughly? What,
5'8".
5'8"? How tall are
Yeah.
you? Because I hear you talking about you being tall.
Oh, I'm 6'4". It's
Oh,
ridiculous.
brilliant. Oh yeah,
And
I got
that's why I did Nerd Halen, because I would never be able to do a tribute band like and put on the gear and the
yeah,
wig. I'd look
right.
like Howard Stern stage left.
Yes, you would.
And it's funny, the singer Hal makes a joke like, well, you could have gotten a 6'8" singer, and then
Then you did it
a
all. Yeah.
6'5" bass player, and then it would have looked fine. So
Yeah.
that's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
I always knew he was kind of small just because of like posters and whatnot. Like the way his guitar, like the guitars look kind of big
The
on him.
size of the guitar,
Yes,
yes,
exactly. And I'm like, wait a minute, why doesn't it look like that on me? It's like, well, you're 5'10" and you're up 200 fucking pounds.
yeah,
This guy was a
no,
fucking, yeah.
yeah. So that's it. That's an amazing reality with him, is that he got it all. He
He
he just
did.
didn't get the playing, he didn't get the tone, he didn't get the technique, he didn't get the sound, the cool gear. Uh, he got the greatest stage look of all time. Like, no one looks better on stage than Eddie
No,
Van Halen in
no.
in their prime. Like, it doesn't. There's no one close,
Dude, he
and
looks like a
everybody.
rock star. He looks like a
He
fucking rock star. He
he
plays like a fucking guitar hero.
right,
Yeah, he
and
got
then
it
you meet him,
all,
and he's not.
dude.
And then you meet him, and he's anything but. So
Yeah,
it's like, what is going on here? What is going
yeah,
on?
yeah. It's
Yeah,
just, yeah, fuck. What a legacy, fuck. Um,
right, and it's
to the
and
point where
it's
people are talking about him on YouTube, like me and you right now. Like,
right,
yeah,
and they will
yeah.
be for a long time.
Um,
His name will be synonymous with rock guitar for decades, and
till the
maybe
world
even
fucking
centuries.
explodes. Yeah.
You
What
know,
was the first? What was the first live show you saw of Van Halen?
well, I tried to go to the US Festival because we did the Who concert when I was
Right.
13, and
No,
I
wait. Are
pointed
you an
out.
only child?
No, I have an older brother.
Okay, cool. Did he
Uh,
like take you to stuff? Do you guys like the same kind of music?
Fuck no, no, no. He beat the shit out of me.
Oh, are you guys cool now though, or?
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
awesome.
But there was a lot of
Sibling rivalry.
sibling stuff going on. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So I did the Who concert, and then I thought, well, I could, if I did the Who concert, I could do the US Festival, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And my parents are like, wait a minute, 500,000 people in a field at night,
yeah,
we'll never see you again. No. And I was devastated.
yeah,
It was probably a good idea because they were probably right. I wouldn't have made it, and I probably would have been like a mile away by the time they got on stage. And
yeah.
I mean, people were, there was a lot of turmoil that night in that
Yes,
audience. So
yes,
it was a good move. So I had to wait,
yeah.
and you know, nothing more anticipated in my life than hearing, or when the 1984 record came out, because that was one of the things we talked about a lot that night, at One Day at a Time, was his new studio and the new songs they were working on, and the US Festival coming up, and um, so I knew that a record was coming, and I wanted to
Cool.
hear what he was talking about that he was working on.
Yeah,
So that's the most, anticipation for any kind of release I'd ever had in my life, probably to this day. So that record came out. Those tickets went on sale. I believe I slept, I lined up at 5 a.m. at Music Plus in Santa Monica, and my first experience in lining up, thinking, "Oh my God, I'm going to get amazing seats." No, terrible nosebleeds. Because there's hundreds of other stores, like selling these
Right.
tickets
Exactly.
at the same time. And my dad's in the business. We had friends. I had an actor friend of my dad ended up getting me two really good seats for the Forum, May 13th, 1984. And I just remember that. I remember just looking at that stage and that lighting truss and just going, "What the?" It's like so huge,
Yeah.
just huge. And they came out, and it was so fucking loud. I didn't know what song they were playing.
Oh, really? Fuck.
Didn't know. It
Wow.
was the loudest thing I'd ever heard in my entire life. And I was just trying to follow along. It was Unchained, but who knew, it played like, 15 BPM faster because of all the
Right. Yeah.
cocaine and the excitement. They're
Yes.
home.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I just didn't know. And the whole night was a blur.
Yeah.
I think I was just, I wish I would have brought earplugs so I probably could have enjoyed it more. It was such an abusive level of
Yeah.
sound.
I saw the same exact tour,
Yeah.
but in Daly City, which is near San Francisco. So
Yeah.
the Cow Palace, they did 3 nights in a row, and I think I don't know what they opened with, but I think On Fire might have been either the first or second song, and somebody threw an M80 on stage and it popped near Dave's head, and he stopped the band, and my heart started fluttering because he said, "We're gonna stop. We'll fucking walk right now." And I'm like, "Oh my God, they're gonna stop the show. This is fucking horrible." I was 15. And then he goes, "Bring up the motherfucker who did this and I'll kick their ass." And everybody went wild. And then they started the song over again. And I'm like, yes, they're gonna keep going. Which they would have done anyways. I mean, they're contractually obligated or whatever the
Right.
fuck. But as a 15-year-old, you don't know. This is my first time seeing
Yeah.
a concert of this magnitude. And my only gripe was to my ear at least, it did sound like Dave, timing wise, was a little bit behind the rest of the band, which kind of bummed me out a little bit. But fuck, it was Van Halen on the 1984 tour, and I've seen
He
the
was,
stuff they have on YouTube, and everything sounds fine. So it might have just been my ear
well,
or the
he
way
was
the positions.
notoriously not sticking with the program live.
Right, right,
In fact, there were so many tricks just to keep him in the program for the records.
right.
And
Fuck.
there's talk that Don Landy, their engineer for all those first 7-8 records,
Yeah.
was like on the forefront of auto tune.
Gee.
So
Oh, right. Yeah.
just for Dave. So there's all kinds of issues, and anyone that says like Dave like now doesn't have it anymore, it's like he never really did.
Right. Yeah.
It was all about the show, and now it's
Yeah.
like he just doesn't have anything. So it's kind of glaring, and it's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah. Look, I love the Dave era, and I don't want to shit on him at all, really. But man, I'm sure he'd be so fucking hard to work with.
Oh,
Like I don't,
it's
yeah,
legendary.
yeah,
It's legendary.
I feel bad for the Van Halen brothers,
Yeah,
but
and if
his
you
whole
read,
fucking
they had it's one of those things, like they were stuck, that this is too good, we're making too much money, uh um it works for everybody else but us,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and just how long can we keep it up, and yeah, so there's a lot of great Sammy songs, great sounding stuff, great pieces of music, but the fuck yeah era of Van Halen was the
is
Dave years, and
yeah,
all the way up until
untouchable.
their very last note on House of Pain. Like it just unstoppable,
Yeah,
unstoppable
yeah.
in every way, and
Okay,
everything was, it was lightning in a bottle. We could,
100%.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
do you have your set list ready to rock for this Tennessee gig coming up in 2 weeks?
Yeah, we're doing actually Tennessee on Friday the 18th, or the 19th, and then the next day we fly to Dallas and play that night in Plano, and we'll be playing like 90 minutes that night.
Holy
So
shit, that's a
yeah,
lot of
and it's
songs,
hot.
man.
It's going to be hot as fuck in Plano because it's outside.
We saw I saw on the weekend, I saw a Melbourne Van Halen tribute band called Mean Streets, and they played for 2 hours. And I think, yeah, dude, they had a fucking
Is that Simon's band? Is that Hosford?
no. It's his name is Michael Gunther,
Okay.
and it's a guy I know. I've known him for years, but we've lost touch. And he did I don't know if you've seen the video that I've shot. It's on my YouTube. I'll send it to you. But he did a really fucking good job. But I mean, they played for so long though. They had an intermission, which was fucking nuts to me. But
Wow.
yeah, and they did like I said, they did really, really well. I didn't catch any of Simon's performances because I had other shit on, but I've heard reports that his stuff was awesome as well. And I mean, he nails the.
That's
Come
cool.
on.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's so many bands and players that do this, and I definitely wanted something that would stand out a little with this creation, and I think it's working.
Totally, dude.
I think it works because there's fun and a lot of funny in it.
Yeah, good.
And that's the one thing that the 976 other Van Halen tribute bands don't do.
I got to tell you my idea that we were going to do, and maybe at some point we were going to do a Van Halen tribute band, but all the members were Eddie Van Halen. But different eras. So you got like the white tank top with the dice. That could be the drummer, and then you've got fucking Van Halen 2 can be the bass player, and then Van Halen, and just have them all be Ed, because 5 Eds are better than 1.
Yes. Yeah.
Or 4 Eds are better than 1. But we haven't gotten around to it.
I wanted to do a tribute, but I didn't want to do what everyone else was doing just because.
Right. Because everybody else is doing it. I mean, simple as that, really.
And I want to. I want to be successful. I'm going to do something. I want it to be, I don't want to just play clubs and pay to play here in LA. Like,
dude, you're fucking touring now. That's amazing.
Well, it's not tour. I mean, we're doing fly gigs, which is awesome. But
yeah, you're in and you're out.
We haven't done a tour yet. That'll be crazy if that happens or when. But yeah, I've studied this band my whole life, or most of it.
Yeah.
And the thing that I realized when I was putting all this together was there has to be laughs.
100%.
The best part of the Van Halen show with David Lee Roth, aside from the musicianship of Edward and Alex, was that when Dave came into the picture, you smiled and you laughed and you thought you thought it was special. He made you feel like you were special that night.
Yes.
And that mistake was just here, just tonight. And, because we're having such a good time.
Yeah.
And,
the ringmaster of a massive internet, fucking party. Yeah.
There was no YouTube. So you had no idea that he was doing that every night at the same point in that show.
Right.
And, it was the same thing, but he was a perfect at just letting you know, like, how fucking cool is this?
Yeah.
But then he's throwing in one-liners and getting people to laugh and loosen up.
Yeah.
And none of these tribute bands, none of them, not one, will capture that spirit, only because that singer is telling that 38-year-old joke that Dave told, and everyone at that show knows it.
Right. Right.
So my thing was, we have to have new funny jokes. And the Nerd Halen thing is that we're not making fun of Van Halen, which is what a lot of people think when they first hear the name. They're like, the real insecure males go, right, don't put nerd next to Halen, dude.
Right. Yeah.
That makes me feel like less of a man.
Right. The alpha male fuckheads you see in clubs that you just wish
anything
were dead.
but alpha.
Yeah.
And so I get that a lot, and I still get it.
That's
but
so bizarre.
they don't get it. They don't. We're nerdy about Van Halen,
Yeah.
so that's we do shit like when we do Unchained. I play the solo. I play from the '81 video, which is that live from Oakland video, where Eddie plays a solo you've never heard before, anytime, not ever since. You don't. If you watch that video, you're like, what? What is that?
Yeah.
It's not. It's nothing like the album, and I've never heard him do it anywhere else. So, and it's a great little solo that he pulls off on that video. So I thought, all right, I'm going to do that solo, but I want our singer to go, hey, wait a minute. During the breakdown right after that, you played the solo from Oakland '81. They don't know what that's. They want to hear the solo from the record. They probably think you can't do it. So I go like, come on, man, give me a break. And we go right back in and do a chorus. And then we play the solo from the record. So we do both
Oh,
solos.
that's
And there's
smart.
there's little things like that in the show that set the presentation apart. And like we open with Running with the Devil, but the horns don't come on. We stand there like idiots going, and the bass player starts, and that just loosens everyone up. And
That's
then
awesome.
and then you know then the sound happens. Your eyes are telling you this is fucking stupid and hilarious, and your
Yeah.
ears are going, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
And
Good.
it's
Yeah.
that collision of your optics and your audibles. And that was the mission. That's what I wanted. I wanted people to be confused enough to remember it.
Yeah.
And I think it's happening. So
Yeah. That's great. I
and
and
getting a celebrity to be your front man it was a good move. And Hal's great, and he's funny. He's the funniest guy I've ever met, and he keeps the between the songs stuff going great, and he's funny during the songs. We've changed a bunch of lyrics to songs, and we have a Nerdy Woman single out. It's on all the streamings. We
I've
change
seen
all the
this.
words. We change all the words, to that. Hopefully
Brilliant.
one day we'll do a video, because I think it would be a great video. But that means we have to get together.
Right.
This band never gets together. We
You
literally
guys all
have,
still live in the same town?
well, he lives in Vegas,
All
uh,
right.
and our bass player is constantly playing gigs. He's a professional sideman, and he has two backup fill-ins that we use for him,
Cool.
and our drummer's in like 7 bands, and we just never have
Drummer,
time. So,
dude, drummers are always in that many bands. It drives
yep,
me fucking nuts. Let me just
sure.
make a quick PSA. Drummers, chill the fuck out. Please, there's enough of you to go around. You don't have to be in every single fucking band that your
Yeah,
eyes run across. Fuck me,
and
dude.
our drummer, I got him because he was like a seasoned Van Halen, tribute specialist.
Brilliant.
But he still, he still has those other parts that he played with those other bands, and I'm very, particular about fills and things,
Yeah.
and like we for Unchained, we do the Oakland ending too, like with the gong,
Yes.
without the
Yes.
flaming gong, but we do the music part.
Nice.
And Hal says, just picture a flaming gong. You'll see it, like while we're doing it. And our drummer still once in a while thinks the song ends where it ends, and I'm
Right.
standing right the fuck over him, like,
You're like,
we're not
dude,
ending,
yeah, don't
we're
fuck
not
this
ending
up.
here,
Yeah.
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 And so now he's getting it finally, but there were several times there where he would just go boom and then look up like, oh right, and I'm like, fuck. But
Now,
we never rehearse. We do one rehearsal for every 2 shows, it feels like, and
nice.
that's crazy to me,
Yeah.
because we sound pretty good. So I could only imagine if we actually got a room for a week or
Right.
2
Yeah.
and work this stuff out. But I think it also it creates a lot of energy during the
Yeah.
show,
Yeah.
so that helps. But yeah, I'm having the time of my life, and
That's all. I'm happy for you.
I never thought I would be doing this kind of thing, even though I was like built for it.
Yeah.
But I just had to come up with the concoction. And
Yeah.
it took me forever, but here we are.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm having a lot of fun. And I mean, I'm an artist with EVH gear. I mean,
Yes.
they're
I
giving me
saw
shit,
that. That's good.
like there's things that I get from them, and uh, there's really not any tribute artists on that roster. So, and I'm tributing him. So it's very surreal that
That's
that's
beautiful.
happening. And I do not take that, for granted. It's probably the most awesome thing that's ever happened to me in any capacity besides, my kids or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I'm to say, that I'm an EVH artist is
Yeah,
something I
dude.
never thought I would say. And I still check the website just to see that I'm still
Make sure
there.
your picture hasn't fucking
I'm
left.
still there. Yeah. And, FU Tone, Adam's been great to me from the beginning. He loved the project. He brought it to, he talked to Ed, like
That's
he said,
awesome.
you should take this guy, and to have that knowledge that he actually saw what I was doing, and loved the concept, because he doesn't like when other people put the wigs on and the
Right.
shit and try
Right.
just to look like him, and that's it. He loved that we were being stupid about it. and
Yeah.
uh and that to me is like, you do the opposite of what you think you're supposed to do, and that's how you get somewhere in life. It really is, which
Yeah.
really means you don't fucking know anything.
Yeah.
So just do the opposite.
Yeah.
Do the opposite of what you think, and you're probably going to win. And that's the biggest lesson from all this. And it's head rush effects. I use a head rush live. It's the
So
easiest thing
wait,
in the
I
world.
want to talk to you about that. So like when
Yes.
you do the gigs, you just take your headrest pedal and is it like head rush, DI straight into the
Yes.
soundboard?
It's I use the little one. It's called the MX5, the head
Yeah.
rush MX5. It's this big. Uh, it's got three buttons and a expression
Dope.
pedal.
Yeah.
Uh, it's basically like, a compact Kemper,
Brilliant.
a
Yeah.
Kemper for dummies,
Yeah.
like. But I've found tones in there that work for me. I believe the amp model I'm using is a Soldano,
Nice.
and I've tweaked some EQs and some delays, and I have every song in our set list in order with each setting that I like in that song. So I just cycle to the next song and I'm ready to go.
And it's
And I
easy
go,
to move the song list around if you need to, kind of
oh,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
just
brilliant.
drag and drop whatever
Yeah,
on the
I'm
screen.
totally into. Yeah, I got a Helix, and I'm totally into it. I
Dude,
I
and
love it.
we're too old. We're too old for these rigs and these amps and these cabinets. It's
True.
fun to have that sound, to feel that air moving, all that.
Yeah.
I'm not,
Until your back is fucked.
until you have a bad back and you're
Yeah.
just tired,
Yeah.
and you can just put everything on the floor in front of you, go DI,
Yeah.
get it through the monitors and the sides. It's
So
fine.
no one has any beef with you using digital shit, or hey man, Eddie wouldn't have done that. He would have used a fucking,
I don't care.
Yeah, good, good,
This is good for me. How does
good.
it sound? How's it sound?
Yeah,
People
that
can't believe uh, that it's that sound, that it's this system that I'm using that's getting that sound. So
yeah.
that tells you all you. I mean, this is that sound. I'm going through it right now.
I
That's
love it.
it.
I love it.
It
I'm a
works.
I'm a
So
huge fan of that shit. Also,
yeah.
just on a side note, have you seen the 7-string Frankie that we're making?
Yes, I see all your guitars. I see all your
I'm
posts.
always I'm post
Your
every other
algorithm
fucking
is
day.
very heavy in my algorithm. So I
Cool.
definitely see
Yeah,
it, and I love it.
I'm stoked.
And it's awesome, dude. It's just awesome that we all have this passion, and
Yeah, we're all connected by this one dude.
it's crazy.
It is. One guy
And
has brought like a legion of people together.
and the internet, because we didn't really know each other. There was no, like I said, nobody at my high school that I could really talk to about this shit. And it took, decades for me to meet other like-minded people that I could geek out on this stuff with. I
That's
couldn't do it.
see, that's
before.
what I don't understand. You're living in the guy's fucking like his city, and
It's
I
a
don't
big
see.
city, Doug. It's a big
Yeah, I
city.
know, I know, I know. I don't know. In my small brain, I'm just thinking that it's like LA is like Van Halen Party Central for some fucking reason. But
No, it's too vast for that. But yeah, do you want me to read the set list for the Monsters show?
yeah, do it.
Or we're doing Run with the Devil, then we do Unchained, then we do Somebody Get Me a Doctor, which we end with Somebody Get My Inhaler.
I'm asthmatic, so that one's for me.
Yes, you can't be nerdy without an inhaler.
Oh, of course not.
Then we're tackling, the big one. I'm the One, maybe the toughest feel song in the
Yeah,
catalog.
yeah.
We've only just played that once this last show in Las Vegas a week and a half ago. So I can't believe it took so long for us to get that in there. But
Is that on film anywhere? Can I see that somewheres?
yeah, I think it's
Somebody's
on
filmed
my.
it. Okay,
Yeah, it's. I think there's a first verse, chorus, solo in
nice,
there.
cool.
Um, Not a lot of people.
Better close down your motherfucking Facebook, son.
Yeah, that was weird. Not a whole lot of other people. Uh, um, Filming at that show. Like, yeah, I have to like scour the internet or find people that like send me a picture. I'm like, what do you have on your phone? Send me everything.
Yeah,
Because I don't travel with a photographer or anything. But anyway, so we do. I'm the One.
Dude, wait, just
Then,
quickly as an aside, no. Look, buy
yeah.
yourself one of those Zoom H2Ns or
Mm-hmm.
the Zoom, just and then bring it with you, set it up someplace. They're really good, and just use that. Even if it's you're setting it on like I don't know, an amp or something. Like the sound will be good enough to where you can post that shit on YouTube.
Yeah, I definitely.
Look into it.
There's
That's all
so
I'm saying
yeah, it's
is
just
look
so
into
many.
it.
There's so much to think about when I do
Yeah,
these shows that
yeah,
I kind of just want to let the whole photographic part and video part just happen and hope that
right.
people are. I even say during the show like fucking hashtag Nerd Halen with whatever your post and
Yeah. Yeah,
drop
it is
you know
something. Yeah, but on the flip side, it's kind of got to be done.
yeah,
Unfortunately, when I do shit, because I record rehearsals and it's kind of, well, it's like, well, if I don't do it, no one else is gonna, and then it's just
right,
a fucking memory. It's like, no, this
yeah.
is, that's why you have a
But
YouTube
there's
channel.
parts like that you don't want going out, because it didn't go well, and then
Yeah,
there's parts where you're like, I fucking nailed that.
yeah.
I want a copy of that.
Well, see,
So
that's another flip side. See, if someone's filming from the crowd and you fuck up, they're gonna upload it whether you want them to or not. Whereas if
oh
you
yeah,
have control, you can just edit that shit right out.
right. And that's what people do now is my solo. It's like 3.5, 4 minutes. And I, I, I combine Eruption with Spanish Fly and a few of the, the Live Without a Net, and
Oh,
stuff.
nice.
And,
Yeah,
I add a little Bach piece that I came up with delay. That sounds really cool. It's,
that's
and I do
lovely.
that.
Yeah,
And, but still, it's not all the way there, for me. But someone will record that 4 minutes and they'll fucking post it, and I'll be like, I don't want
yeah,
it all there.
yeah. I hear you.
So, but you can't control that. But
No, you
uh,
can't.
it is what it is. So yeah, we do. I'm the One. Then we do Nerdy Woman,
Nice.
which is you can get on any streaming service. Everybody Wants Some.
That's a fun one. That's a
It
fun
is.
one.
It is really fun. That's an underrated song, and it's fun to play.
Yeah.
Uh, and I put the everyone calls it. I call it the hummingbird. This kind of picking in there.
Yes. Yes.
On the that part.
Oh yes. Yes. Yes.
I think it's just a little too. It's not flashy enough. So I'll put the delay on and I'll go. I'll do that solo, that part that way. So
Yeah.
the more hummingbird I can get in the show, the better. So,
That's cool.
that's how I feel.
Yeah.
But that's fun. And then we become, for one song on this show, which we have 60 minutes, we become Nerd Hagar.
Nice.
We do Pound Cake.
That's a great song.
It's a great tune and it's fun. And, there's a lot of cool parts in it. And, Hal can pull it off. It's not easy. Especially switching
No,
from
it's not.
Dave to Hagar. It's very hard to make that switch.
Yeah, that would
It's
be
not hard
dude.
to
Yeah, it would.
to
Yeah,
stay
that
in
would,
one singer for the night, but to actually switch is the hard part. So
and to do it for probably more than an hour or
yeah,
2 hours. That's a tall ask.
yeah. So Pound Cake. That's where I go to standard for Pound Cake, and then we do Hot for Teacher and standard because it sounds a little weird when it's in half
Flat.
step down.
Yeah.
So I try to stay true to the tunings too with these
Cool.
songs, and then we do Jump because you got to do Jump.
Oh yeah.
And
My
and then I do,
condolences.
yeah, and then we do the guitar solo, and then Panama, and Ain't Talking About Love. So it's pretty
Brilliant.
much the hits for an hour long set. There's really no way to sneak a Girl Gone Bad in there,
Right.
or I think I'm the One is basically the quiet song.
That's a
Not what
great. That's a
everyone.
great. That's a great song list.
Yeah, I mean, I try to spread it out. Um, I always try to put new ones in every few shows just to keep it fresh, and I want to build our catalog so that we have more
Would
to
you ever
choose
do?
from.
Would you ever do Light Up the Sky?
That's another one that I want to come soon.
Nice.
That's actually, yeah, just to do the breakdown part.
I used to love that. I used to love that
That's
breakdown
such a
so much.
it's so hard to play, and he just has, it's just that right hand shit. His right hand is just the most incredible, instrument in the history of rock and roll. His right hand,
Yeah.
and it's really where it all comes from. People think it's all this thing going, but no, it's this one.
Yeah.
This is the one that gives you that feel. And I mean, he's doing what, half 2 dozen tricks, right?
Yeah.
And he just uses them in different places throughout
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
music.
Yep.
And he's able to add nuance to each one of those 2 dozen tricks. And
Yeah.
that's really what he's done. And it's changed the entire world. And
Yeah.
it's amazing to me. So
Yeah. Dude,
I love
totally.
that when you give a lesson, you'll say, oh, he's doing that thing from this, but he's doing it here.
Yeah.
And because he is repetitive in a lot of ways, but he's also,
Yeah, it's his own stamp kind of deal, and
it is.
and just licks that he's comfortable doing. So if I did it here, why not do it here? Like, I was doing one the other day. The second solo of "Take Your Whiskey Home" has a bit of eruption in it, and I'm gonna actually do a video on it in the next couple of videos.
I love how I love how he's varied those stretch licks.
Yes.
From Ice Cream Man, and then Beat It.
Yes. You just went from major to minor with one fret difference.
And what is Take Your Whiskey Home is also, it's another variation on that stretch too.
Yes,
I think
it is. Yeah.
And so I love how he's just changing one note, and it totally changes the sound of it and the feel. And
here's a dumb question.
Endless. Yeah.
When you shook Eddie's hand at the One Day at a Time thing, did his hand like totally envelope yours, or was it just like normal size hand?
Well, I was young. I was 13, so I wasn't fully developed yet.
Right. Yeah.
Now I've done the handprint thing at the Rock Walk Guitar Center.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit, just a little bigger than him.
Right.
But not much for a 5'8" man.
Yeah, they seem
his hands are
meaty.
gigantic for a 5'8" man. Gigantic hands.
Yeah.
So yes.
He was so cool. Fuck, I love that guy.
Yeah, and that was the first of three meetings where I actually had conversations with him. So it
Well, what were
spanned.
the
Oh,
other
it
two
was
like?
well.
Okay, wait. Before you answer, did he
Yeah,
remember you from the other times? She's like, hey.
I didn't ask. I
Okay.
didn't want to ask because I think there's like the number one thing uh, a fan asks a celebrity is,
Do you remember me from
"Do
last
you
time?
remember me?" And I didn't want to hear him lie because what are
Right.
they going to say? They'll
Yeah.
say, "Yeah."
Yeah.
They'll say yeah, and then you'll go the rest of the day going, "Did he mean it?"
Right.
I,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't want that
Yeah.
vibe. So I
Okay.
never wanted to know if he remembered me. If he remembered me, he would have said, "Oh yeah,"
Yeah. Yeah.
then he. So I didn't really ask, and plus I'd gone from 13 to 19, and I I did not look anything like I did when I was
Right.
13. When I was 19, it was like couldn't have been more different of a human being.
So,
Uh,
okay, you're 19 years old. Where'd you meet him
I'm
that
not,
time?
I'm 19 years old, and uh, I, I I had friends in Santa Barbara, which is 90 miles up the coast. So you take PCH up the coast here in
Oh,
Los
dude, I had
Angeles.
I had friends that went to UCSB, and I
Yep,
stayed there for about a weekend, a couple times. And
Isla
dude, the
Vista.
fucking parties were crazy.
I tell this story often. We went up there one night. This is too funny not to say, but I thought it would be a good idea to get one of those like quarts of orange juice, and then
Yeah.
pour half of it out and pour a fifth of vodka in, and then and for some reason have it gone before we leave the house.
Right.
Thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I'm hurling off the balcony, and then I'm in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bathroom. I'm in the bathroom on the floor next to the toilet, and the guys are like, "We got to go out. It's only 8 o'clock.
Right.
It's only fucking 8. We got to go." And I'm like, I'm laying there, and I lay in there, and I go, like,
Yeah.
go on without me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll find you. I'll find you guys. Just
Yeah.
go. There's no way I was getting off that floor. So I
Yeah.
remember just like laying there and seeing them leave the door frame,
Yeah.
you know,
And
and
there's
then
that's
I'm
one night
laying,
gone.
and then they come back, and I go, dude, just go already. And they go, we went. It was 4 hours ago.
Dude, me and my friends went down there, and we had friends from our high school that we were meeting down there, and we played a game of slosh ball where it's softball, but the keg is on second base.
Yeah.
What just what an amazing time! Every time
Yes.
I've been to that school, yeah,
No,
dude, it was crazy.
it was crazy because you thought, oh, I have a really good chance of getting laid because there's so many drunk girls. Like when you're doing all the math back then,
Right.
when it's very hard to get with the opposite sex, you try to find factors that might play in your favor, and
Yeah,
alcohol is a
it's
really
not your
good one.
friend.
Yeah, it's a double edged sword.
It is a
Uh,
double edged sword,
it's
without
great
a
for
doubt.
confidence, but it's awful for
Yeah,
production. And
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
so I would take PCH up there and back, and Edward and Valerie had a beach house on Broad Beach in Trancas, which is the north side of Malibu.
Yeah.
And um, I don't know how I think we used to have a cop friend, and and so I got all the addresses. Like I knew Eddie's uh, license plates.
Oh
So
shit.
I would give the cop the license plate, and he'd punch it into the computer in the squad car, and the addresses would come up. Sorry if I got someone in trouble, but
He's a friend of
this
yours.
is
No big deal.
35 years ago.
Yeah, no one gives a shit.
So I knew where his beach house was, and I would
Brilliant.
I would always just take that side road at Broad Beach just to see. Oh, maybe I'll see
Yeah.
him.
Right.
And so this one time I was coming back from Santa Barbara, and I pull off onto their street, and they kind of lived behind a gate and went down into the garage area,
Mm.
and up on the road part um, was David Bertinelli, one of the brothers.
Yeah.
was washing his car with a hose. And I'd met David a few months earlier at the NAMM show, uh, at the Kramer booth, because David was the Kramer ad photographer.
Oh,
He
cool.
he took over for Glenn LaFerman, who was doing all those great Kramer ads with Eddie.
Yeah.
And then Eddie got his brother-in-law involved. And so I met David, and he was really cool. And then so I'm driving by, and I'm like, "Hey, Dave, it's Caleb, like from the Kramer booth." And he goes, "Hey," he's like, "Hey."
That's so fucking funny.
So the next thing you know, I'm like helping him wash his car, right?
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, like we're throwing a football, and then he's like, "Hey, you want to come down and have a beer?" And I'm like,
Fuck yes.
"Let me see. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah."
Oh, that's
And we
gold,
walk
dude.
down the driveway, and the garage. There's 3 garage doors, and one of them's open, and there's a pickup truck with the tail hitch down, and there's God sitting there drinking a beer and smoking a cigarette.
Brilliant.
And Dave's like, "It's Caleb. I met him at the Kramer booth. He's uh, he's just finished MI or so." I dropped out of MI, so I went there right out of high school, and I think I lasted 4 months
Yeah.
at GIT, just because I uh, I felt like they were processing me like through a meat
Right.
grinder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard stories like that as
Like, you
well.
have to know this arpeggio sweep, it's part of the curriculum. You have to play like this. And I was like,
Right.
I was kind of anti sweep picking, just because of, how traditional
Prevalent.
Van Halen,
Yes. Oh, yeah.
but I have nothing against that style. I just want to put that out there. I just, at the time, I was so like, I didn't like that alternate neoclassical kind of thing. I thought,
Yeah.
people were just trying to find a new way to shred, which is cool, but it was too much showy offy. And
Yes.
because and this goes right to this moment with him, because I remember when I was sitting there and I was talking to him, uh I there were all these hot guns out there, and I asked him point blank, like, "So what do you think of like Ingve and Satriani and Vi and uh these these guys?" And he's like, "Hey, great players, like amazing uh, mechanics, amazing ability, but where are the tunes?"
Yeah. I mean, I
That was
do
what he
get
said.
that. I
It's what
understand
he
that.
said. He said that. He goes, "Where are the tunes?
Mm.
Like, where are the tunes?" And that's really, that always stood with me. Like, you could be the best in the world. You could be Guthrie Govan, but who knows a
Guthrie
Guthrie
Govan.
Govan song?
Guthrie Govan. But yes, I
Whatever.
know. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like, nobody knows a song of his,
Yeah.
that doesn't play that kind of style. So it was so honest, and so he wasn't talking shit. He was just saying,
No.
"I write songs and I play like this."
Yeah. Yep.
And
Totally understand that.
and I think those guys are great, but
Yeah.
I like songs
Same.
more than I
I
like shredding.
Yeah.
And that's true. And
Yeah.
in a way, like, I kind of feel that way, because I'm not blasting the Jason Becker, and I'm not, I think it's incredible. I think it's ridiculous. It's mind blowing. Uh, but there's nothing like a good tune,
Yeah.
nothing
100%
like a good tune.
agree. I'm a band guy. I don't like
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even really do instrumentals unless it's a completely different genre of music.
Yeah.
I think,
And
and it's because of all that shrapnel stuff that I was listening to as an 18-year-old. I listened to all of it, and yeah, it just burned me the fuck out.
right. So that was the a big part of our conversation there. It's one of those things, like, I don't remember a lot about it. I remember they were trying to find a place to go bowling. And he asked me uh, if I knew a bowling alley that was close to them there, like, which was weird, because I thought like, you live here and you probably go, but I guess he hadn't been bowling in a while.
Right.
So I was like, there's a place in Santa Monica called Bayshore Pins. You know, that's probably the closest place, unless you go over the hill, you know, to Encino or something. And then, you know, we kind of went around the side of the house and they had a trampoline. And so I remember I was this crazy guy jumping on a trampoline, you know, with a bad back. It was great. Uh, and then I hear, "Hey, Caleb." And I look over, and leaning out of his kitchen doorway with the phone like this is Edward Van Halen. And he goes, "What's the name of that? What's the name of that
Bowling.
bowling alley in Santa Monica?" You know, because he's on with information. Remember 411?
Right.
And I go, "Bayshore Pins." And he goes, "Right on." Back inside. And I was, that was it. Um, are you there? You're
Yeah.
frozen. Okay.
No.
Okay. Uh, that was it for me. That's where the chase ended. That day.
Mm.
Um, he said, "Hey, Caleb," and I turned my head, and I think I lived those prior 6 years, just, you know, like I want him to know me, you know,
Yeah.
and when he said my name, uh, I was able to kind of just relax and put it all away, the chase part, you
Yeah.
know, the obsession, the intensity that I had. So it was very, very cathartic moment, because I basically left after that. Like, I didn't need anything more
Right.
from him or them. I wasn't intruding. I didn't feel like I was pushed my way in. I just did my thing where I, you know, I I'm I'm a nice dude, you know, like I'm good in the room. I'm a good conversation. I'm a good hang. And David invited me in. You know, I didn't invite myself into their house, you know. So when Eddie said, "Hey, Caleb," I was done. And I was kind of let, like, relaxed on the whole guitar thing at that point, and started doing other things, that all the things I'd missed out on in my teens. And, you know, I had no social life up until that point. And I think I kind of changed my whole direction, and I still played, but it wasn't so much everything and every day. And
Right.
it was based on him just saying my name, you know. It was so
That's
weird.
cool.
It
That's
was very
awesome.
cool. And then uh, you know, years later, when I skipped the 2004 tour. I just didn't want to see it. I didn't want to go because of the shape he was in and what I was seeing. I just didn't
Yeah.
want to have that in my mind. So I
Yeah.
skipped that, and I was just praying that he would be okay.
Yeah.
Um, and then they reformed with Dave finally, with Wolfgang. And I thought that was a very big event, and I hoped it would last. So I remember laying out the grand for 2 tickets, you know, to the Staples Center for their first show back in Los Angeles with Dave, since that 1984 show that I went to.
Yeah.
And it's 2007, and I went that night, and it was pretty good, and pretty awesome. But I remember saying, I want to sit down there and inside that ramp. You know, they had a ramp that went around.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So there was like a pit.
Yeah.
Like, I want to sit down there. So I went on eBay and I found uh, tickets for half that price for the pair in Fresno at the Save Mart Center. And
Which would have been the old Selland Arena, hopefully.
probably, yeah, it's the Fresno State Arena, right?
I don't fucking remember.
And I got those tickets, and I was going to go with my best friend, and he got sick. And I was at this restaurant here in town, where this girl that I went to high school was working. And you know, um, I kind of reconnected with her, and she saw that he got sick, and like, I was distraught. she's like, "What's wrong?" I said, "Oh, my friend can't go to Fresno to this concert." And she goes, "What concert?" And I go, "Van Halen." And she goes, "Do they play Running with the Devil?" And I go,
Do
"You're
they?
going, you're going."
Yeah.
And she, you know, she's a single mom, and she got off work and got her kid babysat, and we drove 3 hours and got up there early and had this awesome day. And I didn't tell her where the seats were, which was really sly
Oh, that
because
was awesome.
we kept walking closer, and she's like, we're going through checkpoints, and she's like, "What the fuck?" And I go,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was an amazing show. There were a lot of hit and miss shows on that tour, uh, because I saw 5 shows on that tour, and
Wow.
Edward was in bad shape a lot of the time until they shut it down for 8 weeks or something for rehab, and then he came back, and then he was good.
Yep.
And
Yep.
but uh, she became my wife, and uh, it was really like another thing where at that point in my life, I'm like, why this Van Halen thing? Why, why is this so much still a thing for me? And I would ask myself that for years and years, and then I have this moment, and I have this relationship, and you know, we get married, and we have our my stepson, and then we have a child of our own, and we're going to be married 13 years in September, and I'm like, oh, that's why, that's why.
Yeah.
So it's uh it's it's just a thing that's been in and out of my life, but guiding it, and like all the best things in my life come from Van Halen and Edward Van Halen. So I'm just going to stick with that. And the last time I met him was in 2012 on that tour.
Yep.
Uh, the Los Angeles Kings were having a great season and on their way to the Stanley Cup, and I was a prolific Kings tweeter, uh, talking a bunch of shit on the internet as a Kings fan, because I'm a huge diehard, fan of the Kings since 1978, and they were so shitty for so long. But then we were finally doing something, and lo and behold, Wolfgang is a huge Kings fan and a Twitterer, and he kind of runs across my stuff and starts liking a few of my tweets,
That's
and
cool.
I go to the Stanley Cup final with a friend of mine who's very wealthy, and was able to score those tickets,
Yeah.
and and Wolfgang comes and sits 3 rows in front of us, and so the intermission comes, and I just do my thing, go up and say, "Hey, uh, can I tell you a story?" And I told him the one day at a time story, and I think the reason he dug it so much was it wasn't just a dad story; it
Right.
was a mom story too.
Yeah.
Uh, if 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 his mom didn't have that show, and we didn't have that friend, I wouldn't have met Edward Van Halen
Yeah.
at that time, and it wouldn't have changed my life like that. So it's she's as important as he was, and
Yeah.
I wanted to let him know that, that
That's
it wasn't
rad.
just your dad is just the greatest. It's like your mom was awesome that night to me too, by the way.
Yeah.
And she showed me her driver's license. It said, because I didn't think her name. She said, my name's Valerie Van Halen," and I'm like, "No, it's not." She goes, she just shows me her ID, and it says Valerie Van Halen, and
Dude,
I'm like,
that's
"Okay,
rad.
fine."
That's
Uh,
rad.
and So I told him that story, and then he follows me on Twitter, and then when someone follows you on Twitter, you can send them messages, like texts.
Oh, yes.
So I said, a few days later, I'm like, "Hey, we're coming to the show in Phoenix, my wife and I. I'd love to show her how cool I am. If there's any chance we could come back and meet you guys, let me know." And he's like, "Oh, all the Fender people are there, and we're gonna leave right after. But if there's any other time, I'd say yes." And I was like, "Cool, fine." So we go to the show. We're eating a steak across the street, and I get Twitter message from his then girlfriend who I'd met that night at the game.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Where are you guys?" I'm like, check.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to message her back, and we get inside the arena and there's no service, and like I'm like, oh my god.
Fuck.
And then I see Matt Bruck, who was at the game too.
Nice. So he would
And
know your face.
so yes, so I see Matt, I flag him down, and he goes, "Hey, like, did you go to the parade? Like because the Kings just won the Stanley Cup, and I go, hey, Olivia was trying to get in touch with me. I don't know why." And he goes, "Oh, let me go find out." So he runs backstage, comes back 5 minutes later, and he goes right by me, and he goes, "Mrs. Caleb," to my wife, and he goes, he lays down the sticky passes and some picks on her, on her thigh or whatever, and goes,
Hell yeah, dude.
"Wolfgang would like you to be his guest after the show. Oh, and you too, Caleb."
Dude, that's gold.
And just the way he said it was like, they knew that I wanted to impress her.
Yeah.
And he came out to impress her. So he was told to go impress Caleb's wife. And I thought that was just the coolest thing. And that was Wolfgang, not
Yeah.
Edward. That was their son.
Yeah.
He's got the same thing.
Yeah.
He's got that cool gene. So I've never wanted a Van Halen show to pass so quickly. Like
Right.
let's go. Get to jump. Let's go.
Yeah.
And he told us to meet us down at stage left. So we walked against the crowd, and he's there, and he pulls us back, and we go, and he goes, "They're showering. Just give it a few minutes. Have a seat here." And it's on the dressing room road case outside the little hallway that went back to the dressing rooms. And we're sitting there, and everyone's tearing down, and I'm looking around, and I go, "Hey, honey, do you notice something?" And she goes, "What?" And I go, "We're the only ones here."
Oh, it's badass.
And she goes, "Right?" I go, "Yeah." So I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So Matt comes back and brings us, and peeks in Ed's dressing room, and he goes, we'll go to Wolf's, and then go to Wolfgang's, and the door opens, and Wolf's like, "Hey man, fucking Kings," and his mom's there. Valerie's in the room with her then husband. His uncle Patrick is there with his wife Stacy, and Wolf's girlfriend, and we just start talking about the Kings game, and or the season and the cup and all this stuff, and we're just bullshitting, and it's just they're just the nicest people ever. And then the door opens, and the man walks in, and he looks at me like, "Congratulations." And I'm like, "Huh?" And he goes, "What's it like to lift that thing up?" And I, "What the fuck?" And he goes, "Don't you get like a week with it or something?" And I look at Wolf, and Wolf's like, they're going, "Dad, I told you I met him at the game. He's not on the team." And then Eddie just turns bright red because like he thought I was an LA Kings hockey player. And it was so crazy to have your hero of heroes looking at you like you're the coolest thing in the world for just a second, even if it was mistaken identity.
Right.
He was just like, dude. So he was like crying with laughter that he was so embarrassed
Right.
by that moment, and took some great pictures.
That would have been awesome.
I have this picture here. The other two meetings, I wasn't able to get a picture because cell phones with cameras didn't exist. But this is that night.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I think I've seen that on your Facebook.
Yeah, I mean it's as cool as it gets.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't even remember what happened after that. I did remember telling Valerie that I was that kid that you probably heard about for months and years after that night because her friend from the show, the AD, was forced to talk to her about me because of what Edward did to this kid, you know, as
Changed
far
his
as
fucking life for the better.
right. So, she said that, and she said when I told her that, I remember you, is what she said. And
Brilliant.
that was really
Yeah.
cool.
That's awesome.
And, we went out into the Phoenix night, and my wife's just like, how do you fucking do it? Like, you know, and I go, I don't know. I, I, I don't know. I don't know how I do it,
You
but
create your
it's,
own
it's
good luck.
passion. It's passion. And,
Yeah.
there's nothing better. Nothing is more satisfying, in life than working on it. And, I'm just like, part of this is I obviously want to tribute my hero
Yeah.
and play this music. There's nothing more fun than playing this music at concert volume. It's like flying a jet fighter. Not that I know what
Yeah.
that feels like, but when you're locked in and you're playing it, it's so freaking cool and
Yeah.
fulfilling.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I'm able to do it, and people are enjoying it, and we're putting smiles on people's faces, and you know, and we're getting paid, and that's really cool,
Yeah.
and it's getting better, and things are happening more and more, and I didn't, if you told me this would be happening with my guitar playing, I definitely wouldn't have thought so. Yes, I think the idea is just, if you really want to do something, do it, and
Yeah.
don't do it for yourself. Do it
Yeah.
yourself. I was waiting
And don't
forever.
fucking overanalyze. Just do
Yeah,
it.
I was waiting forever for someone else to say, "Hey, can you come do this with me?"
Mm.
And that got me nothing.
No,
Nothing.
you gotta fucking move
Nothing.
forward.
Nothing but like, what am I here for?
Yeah. Be a
The
self
only
goddamn
way
starter.
it started to happen was when I,
Got the ball
you
rolling.
know,
Yeah.
and
Took it by the balls.
that's, if you want me to tell one last story before you go to your show tonight.
Yeah, we're seeing Hamilton, everybody. I
Yeah.
can't wait.
Uh, I, I, I was convinced, by a therapist to just go play, uh, at some point. Just go play, because I'd reached the age of, 40, 42,
Yeah.
43, 44. Never really was in a band.
Wow.
All this, uh, whatever you call it. And I never really put it to use. Never took
Yeah.
it out for a drive,
Mm.
because I would just play on this thing with this person or that thing, but I never put a band together that would gig or record.
Yeah.
Just never happened for me, and it was a very sad part of my existence that it never happened.
Yeah.
And she said, just go get some friends and play
Oh,
covers. Just go
yeah.
play covers someplace. Just
Yeah.
just tell yourself you can do it. So I
Yeah.
did. I went and played with, my best friends. It was the drummer in Tonic, a great band. He's not anymore, but I was able to go on tour with them as their road manager, so I got to see the whole thing happen.
That's
Platinum
awesome.
record, uh, amazing experience. Been all over North America 5 times. I got to see it through their eyes and live
Yeah.
it through them, which was
Yeah.
cool. And I got to see how many people it takes to make it all happen. And I was like, that's never fucking happening for me,
Right.
because one of those people doesn't do their job and it falls apart. And,
Yeah.
so I did those couple of cover shows, and was able to play live, and I'm like, wanted to do some more with it, but didn't know what I was doing. And then, I was driving a Lyft car, like an Uber, here in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
one night. It was a Tuesday night, rainy Tuesday night, and I was in West Hollywood, and I get a ping at the Genghis Cohen, and which is a little tiny club, music club, and this chick with a cocktail gets in the back seat, and and any other time I'd be like, get the fuck out of my car with a drink.
Yeah.
That leads to the worst thing, which is you puking on the back of my head, which I
Right.
had happen to me once, which is the worst
Jeez.
experience of my whole life, the lowest of
Yes.
lows. And she's like, my husband's coming, just wait. And I was like, okay, wait. And we're in 10 minutes, and I'm like, for some reason, I didn't quit. I just was like, I'm just gonna stick with this shit, but let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Door opens. It's Taylor Hawkins. Sits down in my little mini Prius. Let's go to Hidden Hills. Boom. So we're driving, and I'm just silent. I'm not saying a word. They're talking husband and wife. You didn't have time for me. He's like, I'm busy,
Right.
man. We got shows. Like,
Yeah.
and all this stuff going on. And finally, he's like, I'm done talking to you. Hey, man, how's your night? So we start talking, and I tell him, he gets to music, and I'm like, hey, I don't know if you remember, my best friend was in a band called Tonic. They were back, and he goes, Tonic, yes, and because he's a total fan of music, and he
Nice.
remembers that band, and he remembers that drummer from that first record. They were, it's a great first record if you haven't heard Tonic's debut, The Lemon Parade or whatever. And he asked me what that guy was doing, and I was like, he's a contractor, building shit, but he's in my cover band, like, because we just played. And he goes, you have a cover band? I do too. Chevy Metal. And I go, cool. And he goes, yeah, it's just me and my best friend plays bass. We're looking for a guitar player. And I go, I'll
Hell
do it.
yeah. Yeah.
I'll do it. And he goes, can you play any Van Halen?
Like, dude, that's all I've been fucking playing.
And, and I said, I was like, that's all I do. And he goes, no way. And I go, all right, I'll show you. So we get to his house in the driveway, and I pull out some videos of rehearsal. And he's looking, I'm playing Hot for Teacher or something. And he goes, wow, you're like the whole deal. And I go, yeah. Well, it's like my life been him, and he
Yeah.
goes, I love, I'm as big a Van Halen fan as anybody. And I'm like, awesome. And he goes, all right, well, here's the deal. Give me your number. I'll call you. I'll give you a set list of songs. We'll get together a few times. We'll fly somewhere. I'll give you a couple grand. Sound good?
Wow.
And I'm like,
Yes.
uh, don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
I'm shaking his hand. I'm like, look me in the eye, please
Right.
make this
Yeah.
happen. Please
Yeah.
make this happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
He goes, let's do it. Let's make it happen. So I drive home that night, in the rain on a Tuesday night. And I'm like, I just got in a band with Taylor Hawkins.
Yeah.
And then I go, I just got in a band with Taylor Hawkins.
Yeah. That's
I'm
right.
not ready. I'm not ready. This guy calls me on Saturday. I'm not ready. I don't know any of these songs.
Yeah.
So I get home and I go right on YouTube and I Google Chevy Metal, or I search Chevy Metal concerts, and I start writing down every song they play in their set.
Yeah.
And I go to every show that's there on the YouTube, and just fast forward every song and write them all down.
Yeah.
I got like 45 songs or something. All these,
Fuck.
Rod Stewart,
Yeah.
Rush, Van Halen, Queen, Motley Crue, uh, all this shit. And I'm like, I am not ready. But the next days and weeks, I'm learning all these songs that I've never learned in my life
Mm.
and never thought I would ever know front to back. But I know now that I need to fucking know this shit, because this
Yeah.
is my shot.
Yeah.
This is it.
It's that
And
Eminem song.
and I have to be ready.
Yeah.
And then I started learning Van Halen songs that I didn't know, which were there were many, because
Yeah.
I didn't want them to go, hey, do you know Take Your Whiskey Home?
Right.
We're gonna play that, and I didn't want to go like, no, I don't. Let me go ask Doug.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I wanted to be ready.
Yeah.
So weeks go by, months go by, and I'm just woodshedding and working and playing more than I'd ever played in my life, or since those days in my room.
Yeah.
And I'm becoming 10, 15, 20 times the guitar player I was before he got in my car. And but I'm not realizing that. I'm just saying, like, I'm becoming ready. I'm ready. And then I'm
Yeah.
start like finding friends of his, like, just to remind him about me, because the phone never rang. But I
Right.
wanted to still make it happen. Like, how do you do it? My wife says, this is how I do it. I fucking find your friends, and I get your friends to talk to you about me, and then you go, oh, that guy, let me call him.
Yeah.
That's how I do it, because I don't
Very
give up.
smart.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
give
good.
up. So finally, after 9 months, they play a show in Encino, or they have a show coming up at a bowling alley. And I see that they have Brent Woods, who's an amazing player. He's like a Les Paul guy, no whammy,
Yeah.
uh, pagey, slashy, amazing. But
Yeah.
I'm noticing something. They've played a few shows with him in this time period. I noticed they're only playing a couple of Van Halen songs,
Right.
and so I'm figuring, oh, Brent's not a Van Halen player, so they're not really playing a lot of Van Halen. And Taylor wants to play more Van Halen songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, he wants that, you know. So
Let me
they
give that
have
to
this show
him.
coming up, and I'm in the area because I'm still driving Lyft, and I go, let me go check this place out. I'm gonna go case the joint the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
day before the show, and I go into the room where they're playing. It's a tiny little restaurant part of the bowling alley, and it's all set up. There's a back line, and there's sound. There's two sound. There's guys there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I've done this long enough. I was the tour manager and grip for Tonic. I go, they're about to sound check right fucking now.
Right.
And I go, are they coming to sound check? And he goes, they're done. And I go, and just by the way, I play poker too, so I'm like, all right, bullshit. And I go out to my car, and I wait by my car, and 15 minutes later, a truck pulls up, and Taylor gets out of the passenger seat. And I get out of my car, and I walk over to him, and he walks over to me, and I go, hey, I'm the Caleb, the Van Halen guitar player from the Lyft ride. He goes, hey, like that, there you are, and he goes,
Yeah.
someone asked me about you recently. And I was like, yeah, yeah, that was the guitar player from the Saturday Night Live band who I had in my car a few months later,
Right.
who I met, who I said, hey, if you see them on, if it's the Foo Fighters come on Saturday Night Live, bring me up. And he goes, I never have a reason to talk to any of these guys, so I'll talk about that.
That's
He
killer.
did.
Nice.
So long story short is Taylor looks at me and goes, dude, I'm sorry. We're happy with Brent. Uh, and I'm sorry that I didn't call you. And he goes, but go, go start your own thing, man. I'll come jam with you.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And I was just, it's like the hottest chick in the world, tells you she's not interested after you thought she was,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you have that feeling, and you get in your car and you're just driving home and you're destroyed.
Mm.
But the words are bouncing in your head, go do your own thing. Go do your own thing.
Mm.
Go do your own thing. And I'd been kicking around Nerd Halen in my head for a few months. Had the idea, didn't do anything yet. And I just, on that drive, I just said, I'm fucking doing this.
That's
That's
rad.
it. That's
That's
it. I've been waiting for that fucking phone to ring. It never did. But
You'll become the phone.
I can't wait anymore.
Yeah.
And then the whole process started for me.
Yeah. And that's
And
when
I
great things happen.
and it and the byproduct is, yeah, Taylor Hawkins led me on. Taylor Hawkins, you know,
Didn't call you back,
bullshitted
whatever.
me,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
want to say. But dude,
Yeah.
Taylor Hawkins is as important to my life now
Yeah.
as
100%.
Edward Van Halen,
Yeah.
because that experience got me to finally break through all this shit, you
Yeah.
know. And one of the main things that I always had in the back of my mind as a player was, I don't really know full songs. You know,
Yeah.
I can play lead and do this stuff, but I can't play a whole song really. I've never really tried,
Mm.
very little. And the whole getting ready for a possible gig with Chevy Metal created the player that I am now and gave me the confidence to go do this. Just go do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
Go get on stage at the Whiskey at the Ultimate Jam night. Find your band members there.
Fuck
Meet
yeah.
Hal Sparks. Talk Hal Sparks into joining Nerd Halen. You know,
Yeah.
and it just started to snowball from there. And I just unrelenting. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm doing it. And so
Yeah.
uh, Taylor, we never got to chance to jam. I really believe, because I've even had dreams about it, that it would have happened, and he would have, because and I know I've talked to Brent, a bunch of times, because he's at the Ultimate Jam, and he knew who I was, and he knew I was that fucking crazy guy bugging Taylor trying to get his gig.
Yeah.
uh, but um, he told me that Taylor knew about Nerd Halen and he dug it,
That's
and
rad,
he was
dude.
happy. He was happy for me, and that was before he died.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's it's a shame. It's sad. It was very very hard to swallow that when that happened,
Yeah.
because you never know in life, and you just got to keep doing shit until it's your time.
Yeah.
And it was just another sign that keep pressing with this, keep pushing, because that guy was in the biggest band in the world. One of the
Yeah.
best drummers in the world, one of the nicest guys.
Yeah.
Who knows what he was doing, but he's gone, and
Yeah.
he doesn't get to do this anymore. And at least here.
Yeah.
And
True.
but he changed my life, and I'm so grateful.
That's awesome.
And
That's a great story as well.
yeah, I'll tell that in my TED talk. Is that you can, until you do it yourself and get the fuck out of your way, it's not going to happen. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, I'm going to get ready to go to Hamilton.
yes,
But can I talk to you again when you come back from those two shows?
you could talk to me again tomorrow.
Okay.
Tell me how Hamilton was. And
Okay. So,
thanks for having me, dude. And
oh, dude, anytime.
God, I wish you lived closer, because I know we'd be a good hang. So
Well, the
if
good
you,
news is that my dad and everybody still lives in Fresno.
yeah,
So what I'll do is when I come back out, I land in LAX. I'll just get a cab straight to your joint and stay with you until your wife kicks me out.
right. Come hang with us. Who's
Fuck yeah,
this
dude.
guy?
Yeah. All right, dude. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man.
Bye bye.